Welcome back, everyone, to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. This is Kevin Horde here.
Lorenzo Fonson over here.
What up, Lorenzo?
Not much. Ready to continue on the Ryloth trilogy.
The Ryloth trilogy. Yes, and I would like to make one correction. I think last week I was calling this the series finale of Season 1. Or the season finale, rather. So this is a 3-part story arc. This episode specifically is the second part. But next week is not the end of Season 1. We are going to make a little bit of a time jump through episodes, still keeping with chronology. See a bunch of other stuff before we get to the actual end episode. Because this is Season 1, Episode 20. So next week is Season 1, Episode 22. And then we actually go to Season 2, run through some Season 2 stuff before we get to Season 1, Episode 22, which was the last episode of Season 1. So this 3-part story arc isn't actually leading. It's the penultimate trilogy, if you will.
Yeah.
So I've been calling it out as the lead up to the end of Season 1, and I've been incorrect.
Just jumping the shark. Jumping the shark here.
What can you do? Did you know, by the way, side note, Jaws is the reason that Fonzie jumped a shark?
Is it really?
Yes.
I did not know that. Did you also know that... I don't remember the exact number, but Happy Days wasn't canceled soon after he jumps the shark. It was still like midway through the show's run.
Oh, yeah.
It's not towards the end of the show's run.
No.
They jumped the shark really early on. So
I didn't know it was that early. I thought there was a couple of seasons afterwards. That being said, I have no idea how many seasons and or episodes of Happy Days there are.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know either, but
couldn't tell you.
I'll figure it out, and we'll get back to Happy Days trivia in the next episode, which, is a show that only exists because George Lucas made American Graffiti, so that's fine.
Interesting. Didn't Mork and Mindy spin off of Happy Days, or did they spin off of something else?
Yes. I believe Mork and Mindy and Laverne and Shirley both spun off of Happy Days. Yeah, they are in the shared universe of
American
50s
Graffiti.
nostalgia. Yeah. Well, not American Graffiti, but Happy Days.
Right.
Yeah. So, because in the 70s, having 50s nostalgia was a thing. And then, yeah. And then 80s, you had 60s nostalgia.
And nowadays, you have, 90s nostalgia?
We're still stuck in the 80s, sadly. Yeah. Between Stranger Things, Wonder Woman 1984 coming out soon. There's literally a movie called Summer of 84 out right now, which actually looks completely like a Stranger Things ripoff. I'm sorry to everybody that has worked on that. Your movie looks really terrible.
At least it's not called Weirder Things or Stranger Stuff.
It looks absolutely like a Stranger Things ripoff. And don't forget the first It movie shifting from taking place in the 60s to taking place in the 80s.
So is it called It? It's just It, the new one, or is it It Chapter 1? Because the next one, the second one's going to be It Chapter 2, right? Or at least that's what it's being referred to as.
Yeah, officially speaking, I believe it's just called It. But the movie, you saw it, right?
I did.
It titles itself as Chapter 1. It throws it out there, but I think officially, IMDb speak, it's just called It.
It's called It 2018, I guess.
Yeah. The 2018 version of It. So,
Well, enough of It.
Yes.
Let's get back to the Clone Wars.
Ryloth. Yeah.
Innocence of Ryloth, right?
Yes. Innocence with Cents, which threw me off for a second. I just kept thinking I was misspelling it for some reason.
Instead of innocence,
CNCE?
Yeah. I was going to spell that with an O, so I'm glad you did that. Innocence.
Yeah, Innocence. Yeah. So there are multiple innocents. Basically, innocence as a noun and not a adjective. Right? No, I don't know.
Yeah. In a sense, the innocence of the innocents is...
I guess the other version would still be a noun, because, like, the innocence of a child is still a thing.
Yeah, but it's describing... It's an adjective, right? It's describing the child.
Innocent would be, like, the innocent child. Because the innocence of something...
So these are the adjectives of Ryloth.
No, it's still a noun.
Man, this is fucking confusing.
Because once you put something like an of something,
right?
Like the bumper of a car. Bumper is not an adjective describing the car. Does that make sense?
It depends. I mean, if it's the person that bumped the car, they are the bumper of the car.
Which is still a thing. They are still a person. It's still a noun.
Oh, yeah.
We are very tangential on this one. When did this episode air, Kevin?
This aired on March 6th of 2009.
Yep.
As I stated previously, it is season 1, episode 20. Production code is 117.
Mm-hmm.
We have a trio of writers on this one. Randy Stradley, Henry Gilroy, Scott Murphy, directed by Justin Ridge. This episode takes place in 21 BBY. And I bring that up because up until recently, we were in 22 BBY. So, Blue Shadow Virus, which we didn't mention it then, or Mystery of a Thousand Moons, or Storm over Ryloth, all take place in 21 BBY. So we have had at least some period of time pass since the beginning of the series.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to jump in with both feet and say it's been one full year, but we've at least, I guess, hit a new year of the galactic calendar. So take that as you will, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm going to be paying attention a little bit more moving forward because I feel like for sure between season 2 and season 3 there's a larger time jump. But we're about 20% through the number of episodes and 1/3 of the time of the Clone Wars has passed us by. We'll put it that way.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
I'm just curious in terms of what is signifying that this amount of time has passed. Do you know at all? Because I know we're depending on Wikipedia a lot.
Yeah, that's where I got this information. So I don't. I would imagine that something in one of these 3 or 4 episodes may have been referenced or mentioned in a guidebook or comic or novel or something in which that story was placed in the timeline of 21 BBY. So at that point, that detail becomes canon, so everything moves forward from there.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Okay.
That being said, I do know that at least Innocence of Ryloth is part of the Lego Star Wars 3 video game, and you can... I only looked into it briefly, but it looks like you can kind of play through this storyline in Lego form were you to have that game. I do not, so I cannot confirm that, nor can I deny it, but that is...
Is that one of the older Lego games?
I believe so. Well, I mean, it's the 3rd Lego Star Wars game, so I would imagine it's been out for a while.
All right.
I'm guessing maybe it came out sometime around when the Clone Wars was out.
When the show was on.
Right.
Yeah. Not one of the recent ones or anything?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. All right.
I didn't look into it that much. I just bring little details. I don't always bring all of the explanations.
That's fine. That's fine. What do we got going on this episode?
Fortune cookie this week. The cost of war can never be truly accounted for. Who you got behind this one?
I never think about it until you ask me. I don't know why.
I know. We've been doing this for quite a few shows now. And you're always taken off guard.
I know. I don't know why.
I will tell you that I put down Yoda for this, and I don't feel 100% on it, so I'm waiting for you to talk me out of it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a Yoda thing. It still sounds like something like Obi would say or something like that, you know?
On
his weird sageness.
On reviewing the show earlier today, the episode, not These Aren't the Nerds You Are Looking For show, on reviewing this episode earlier today, somebody else popped in my head, and it was from a different time era that I haven't really been considering when I'm thinking about these things, and it was Hera.
Oh.
So.
Yeah. I could hear her saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because we have, like, the Twilight connection to this episode.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it way further down the line, but I think that she attributes the Clone Wars to, like, tearing her family apart, and also, like, it was the actions of the clone army and the Separatists that kind of made her the person she is, and that's why she's doing what she's doing, and that's, like, years and years and years later. So I think I like that a lot more than I like Yoda. So I think we're
that makes a lot of sense.
I think we'll give this one to Miss Hera Syndulla.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. So basically, in this one, we're coming right off of the last episode, correct?
Yeah, our newsreel is basically a previously on that transitions nicely into and explain what Obi-Wan and Mace will be doing this episode, and there we go. So I named the Obi-Wan Mace Windu relationship as Obi-Windu Nobi. So in the future, when you are wearing an Obi-Windu Nobi shirt, you know where it came from. So I think it's Obi-Wan's job to what's he say? He says it's going to be tricky getting the troops on the ground, and Mace says, "Oh, take the city of Nabat first. We will have our landing zone then." So
yeah.
Obi-Wan says, "Oh, it's time to meet the natives." My first big note is second 53 of the episode solves the mystery of the lat doors. Did you notice this?
No.
You know how I'm always bitching about, like, the little slats in the doors? So Obi-Wan gets on a lat, and then he's talking to Mace Windu, because that is what this show likes to do, is have two people walk up to a lat talking, and one of them gets on, and then the doors close. So the doors close, and then, like, a little shutter, like, closes the window. And I was like, all right, we're saved. This is great. Like, finally, this is explained. We get a shot from underneath a couple of good guy Star Destroyers, and then, like, not too long after that, we see these lats again. And I said, mystery not solved. Because I think they, like, fly by, and the fucking windows are open. No, you can see them from the inside, and the windows are open or something, and you can't see like where the thing goes. So I go back and forth with the lats on this episode. That's my big reveal for maybe some comments that I'll have moving forward.
I'll have to take a look. Yeah.
But we do see Wat Tambor again. He's talking to what I call the T-droid. It's a tactical droid.
Tactical droid. Who... I believe goes unnamed the entire episode. I don't think I caught him being mentioned.
He is not named, although he does have a name, and it's given in the credits only.
Ah, okay.
And that is TX-20.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Wat Tambor again only appears in holocom form.
Correct.
He's always blue. We only see him in his blue broadcast form.
Correct.
Yeah. So what are they talking about here?
What are they talking about? Wat
Something
Tambor
about
and the T-Droid?
Yeah, so TX is talking about some proton cannons that he has, right?
Yes.
And Wat Tambor is concerned about the Republic taking over.
Correct.
And TX is like, no, it's fine. I got these like 5 proton cannons, and also I have a bunch of Twi'leks as a shield. He literally has a bunch of Twi'leks just sitting in a pit that he dug like in front of the troops.
Yeah, and they're not even like, you see some of the Twi'leks like up walking around and just kind of chilling.
Yeah, like they're like handcuffed, but they aren't chained to anything.
Yeah. And
right?
Not all of them even have binders on, so...
Yeah, they're kind of in a pit.
Yep. So this is his plan, is get some big damn guns and then take some living hostages and put them around the big damn guns so that nobody comes in to blow up the big damn guns. And then, like, that's his defenses.
Yep.
So Obi-Wan is talking to Cody at one point, and he basically says, remember, we're here to help, not destroy. And then he goes, Cody? And the like, when he first says Cody, I feel like he's like, you know, like, no disintegrations, like blaming him. But Cody like snaps to attention and steps forward, and
very professional of Cody.
He's very professional, and then he just like lays into all the other troops because Cody's, you know, a commander. He's in charge.
Yeah.
He does some commanding, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
He says, we're taking it back the hard way. Minimal destruction. Blasters and droid poppers only. No rockets. No detonators. Check your aim. Watch for locals. And I thought it was awesome that he's like, check for aim, because, you know, let's all be serious. Anybody in a white helmet is accused of having terrible aim. Yep. Which I can't necessarily argue with, but I feel like that was like a little jab, like, hey guys, fucking pay attention, aim, do some good aiming, aim good, shoot the stuff you want to shoot,
just hit only the things you want to hit, just don't shoot aimlessly.
Which is funny because the first time that we see anybody firing blasters in this episode comes up here shortly. And they're like all running through the woods, and then they're spotted by a battle droid, and then for like a minute and a half it's just blaster bolts flying from both sides. Nobody's dying. Nobody's getting hit. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. It's all the same.
One note I do have is that the clones call the Twi'leks tailheads.
Yes,
and I thought
I found odd.
Yeah, I thought that was like borderline speciesist.
Yeah, it didn't sit right with me. It's really weird because they do definitely use it as like a pejorative. Right. It's not good.
And I feel like a lot of the clones definitely fight for individuality. You know, they're not just whatever their derivative number is. Yeah. But then they're using, like you said, a pejorative like this to describe just like a whole group of people. It was, even for me being a white dude from the Midwest, like, I was like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, this one, I mean, like, this is a fictional story with fictional clones using a pejorative against a fictional species, and yet it still didn't sit right with me, considering who the clones are supposed to be and exactly what you just said there. Right. It's just weird. I understand it when they use pejorative terms against, say, the droids.
Like clankers?
Yeah, clankers. Like,
or tinnies?
You know, tinnies, yeah. Like, that all makes sense because those are their enemies, you know? Like, I would expect that, you know?
I guess I don't know. I guess I never felt that was pejorative in nature.
I mean, it's still... It's still a different descriptor, I guess, right?
I'll have to sit on that one, think about that for a while.
Yeah, like the difference between tinnies and tailheads, right? Like it's, I don't know, it's still, because it's not like it's, you're taking a one syllable word and changing it to two. Right? Like, yeah, like go shoot the droids. No, we got to go fight the clankers. Right?
Clankers.
Like you just added a syllable for no reason.
Yeah.
Like it's not helpful. You know, at least like with like Viet Cong, just shortening it to VC is, even though it's the same syllables, just kind of just spits out faster, I guess.
They're shorter syllables?
I guess, yeah, VC.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's calling like a refrigerator an ice box. Like, I
guess.
It's, I don't want to say like they're just droids, because we do have droids like K2SO and C3PO and BB-8 and beyond, but they're just fighting machines. I mean, we see repeatedly that they have a little bit of programmed intelligence, but not that much.
Not individuality, as you would apply to the clones.
Yeah. I don't know.
Again, the difference.
That doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me Leia calling Chewbacca a walking carpet, or Han calling him furball. Like, those things don't bother me, but like tailheads was. Something with that resonated with me. Can't put my finger on it.
Well, again, it's because Han has a relationship with Chewie, right? Like a long-standing relationship. Well, so when he calls him furball, you still know there's like love underneath all of that.
I think you earn that when you shower together.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But then just some random clones applying this name to an entire species, that's what really throws me off. Right. So that's the difference there to me. So it's still end of the day, it just strikes me wrong. I don't know exactly why. It's not the worst thing, but it's still not great. Yeah. Anyways,
so moving forward from that, did you see the only thing I could call it was like a pinup, like the pinup artwork on the front of the lat that Obi-Wan and his crew get out of?
Actually, no, I missed that.
It's a Kowakian monkey lizard being held by something, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, we do see pinup artwork several times in this series, and I always forget to bring it up, so when I saw it today, I was like, oop, need to mention that one, but it's a monkey lizard. So I don't know, I guess to each his own, but that wouldn't necessarily be what I would paint on the side of my Enola Gay. So
well, because like sometimes like the artwork from World War II wasn't always, like pinup girls or anything. Sometimes they were just phrases too that'd be written, right?
That is true, and like
just
painting the front of the plane like a shark mouth.
Yeah.
Since we were talking about Jaws and jumping the shark earlier.
We'll bring it back to sharks in this episode.
Bringing it back to sharks.
Bringing it back to sharks.
We're jumping the Kowakian monkey lizard.
Yeah. So Jaws. I saw the Meg earlier. Sharks are around. Sharks are a thing.
Yeah. Got sharks on the brain. It's not Shark Week or Shaq Week.
Nope.
So.
But anyways, so it's it's probably like one of those things where somebody just want to draw something funny. Mm-hmm. If trying to reason why this would exist on a lat,
Yeah, I think there was something else to it that I didn't see, and I'm sure that you can dive deeper into that Kowakian monkey lizard pinup. But I did not do that. So
it's all
sorry I let you guys down.
I didn't even notice it at all.
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up.
Busy in my flurry of notes.
Moving forward, we're getting closer and closer to that firefight. The clone troopers are on the sneak, and their job is to they're trying to get into Nabat City, right?
Yes.
Which seems to kind of have like some medieval wall built around the city, because they like flew in, I don't know, a couple 100 meters away, and then they got to sneak through some trees that are all defoliated, and looks like maybe it's fall time, and they're kind of running up this hill, and they get to the top, and there's a wall with a couple of, I don't know, like guard towers on them, kind of. And on the way there, one of the battle droids is like, I think I see something moving in the trees. Let's just fire! So they just start shooting the trees up. They don't hit anything. The clones are shooting back. They're not hitting anything. Obi-Wan uses the Force to help out a couple of clone troopers, and they throw some...
Yeah.
They're not thermal detonators. What are they called? Zappers? I think they're zappers.
The poppers, right?
Poppers. Droid poppers.
They're the poppers.
That's what it is.
Yeah, the droid poppers. Which, do they have an official name, or are they just poppers?
They probably have a technical name, but...
They only refer to them as poppers, I believe, in this episode.
Yeah, and they've been called poppers before. I remember that for sure.
Yeah.
So...
Because one of them throws one, it doesn't make it in. So the two guard towers have droids, and they throw one, and it basically like just barely hits the bottom of the tower.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we can't throw that
Clone's
far.
like, fuck.
Yeah. And then that's when Obi-Wan is like, oh yeah, I'll handle that. Just toss it, and I'll help you out from there. Which makes me wonder, why doesn't Obi-Wan just kind of, why even bother throwing it?
Yeah, well, the reason for that is because then we would have that corny thing that Ahsoka did back in Blue Shadow Virus, where she just like did the like elevate the fruit across the table thing with the thermal detonator, and then she hid it behind a rock so it couldn't be seen by camera, and it had to like hide behind some tree roots and do stuff like that. That's why.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair.
You know, maybe it's easier. Like the clone throws it, and he just gives it a little extra push.
Yeah.
So like, he does that twice and knocks out. They droid pop like two sets of 3 droids each, which I didn't even put on the kill list because they're not dead. They just got knocked. You know, they just got zapped. That shit was set for stun.
Like unconscious, basically, right? Yeah.
So we have 6 droids go down, and then it cuts over to TX-20, and there's a droid that's like, hey, sir, the wall has fallen. Like, they got past it. So it was just like 6 droids defending the outside of the city. So that's nice and convenient for Obi-Wan. But TX-20 sends out some recon droids that look like a mini version of like an Imperial probe droid.
Yes.
Which these things I thought were pretty cool. We see them a little bit later, so I'll bring up one of the things that I thought was cool about them then. But after that, we cut back to the good dudes. Cody and some clones or I guess Obi-Wan's talking to Cody, right? And he's like, hey, you need to take a couple of dudes and like go and find out what the plan is. There's like, for the first probably half to 2/3 of the episode, like plot A is Obi-Wan is like, hey, sneak over there and find out what the bad dudes are doing. And plot B is TX-20 is like, hey, sneak over there and find out what the good dudes are doing. So we got like a double recon mission going both directions here. So TX-20 sent out recon droids, which is like way easier. And Obi-Wan sends Cody, and he's like, grab your best guys and go figure out what's going on. And so they walk off, and then they end up splitting up. So it's Rex and a guy named Wooly.
No, it's not Rex. Not Rex.
No, not Rex. Cody. My
Yep.
bad. I'm used to saying Rex because we see Rex all the time. Rex is not in this episode.
Nope.
It's Cody and Wooly. And I think we hear Wooly's name like one time and one time only, and that's it.
Much later, yeah, because it confuses me because there's as Obi-Wan is talking to Cody is like, Waxer, Boyle, you're coming with me, and then a third guy, other trooper, just follows them. I don't know why they couldn't just fit in like, Waxer, Boyle, Wooly, come with me. It's just weird.
I totally agree with you. And then after they split up, we cut back and forth a couple of times between the two sets of two.
Yes.
And if you're not paying close attention, like, so all four of them walk together. Cody says something about buildings are just buildings. What really makes a city are its inhabitants.
Yeah.
Like, hashtag spoiler, we're looking for people. That's what's going on here. You know, you care about the inhabitants of the village, but you call them tailheads? Okay.
Yeah.
There's that. So then they split up, and it's Boyle and Waxer together, and Cody and Wooly.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly what we follow is Boyle and Waxer.
Yes.
And along their journey, they find a small Twilight girl who is also never named until like the very end of the episode.
Yep.
But her name is Numa. So
yes.
we'll throw that out so we can just call her Numa instead of
Numa.
little Twilight girl.
Twilight girl, yeah. So they find her, and then as you're beginning to say, I will confess I was really having trouble keeping Waxer and Boyle apart.
So I figured those two out early. But if you're not paying attention, it'll cut over to Cody and Wooly, and I thought that was still Waxer and Boyle.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back, and then it cuts back, and I'm like, okay, who? It wasn't until like the second time that I watched this that I was like, okay, we have two different sets of two clones. Because I thought it was like the setup, like, hey, Cody, grab your dudes and like go do the thing, and then they split up, and then we just followed two clones the rest of the time, but that's not the way it works.
Yeah. No. So I will agree. Yeah, there's two layers of confusion here, and it doesn't help that the clones, like any markings, except for like Commander Cody, they're all so similar that it's really hard to tell apart. But the other issue I was having is that in either scene of Cody / Wooly or Waxer / Boyle, when Waxer and Boyle, for example, are speaking to each other, there wasn't enough visually because they have the helmets on. I could never tell who was speaking, or their personalities were different enough that I knew which one was Waxer and I knew which one was Boyle by what they were saying.
Right.
But I couldn't attribute it to whether that was the person on the right or left that was speaking at any moment. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes, because there wasn't enough like chin movement, head movement, like nodding, neck rotation or whatever to be able to tell who was talking. You can tell by the closed captions because it'll say like Boyle, colon, blah, 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 blah. And to tell those two apart, Waxer has like hash marks on his helmet, I guess, for like droid kills.
Yeah.
Boyle does not. Boyle had some other symbol that I didn't even bother to like jot down because I could tell those two apart. And then with Wooly and Cody, like Cody's easy because he has like a shoulder antenna.
Yeah.
Which, what is that for?
I have no idea. He had a shoulder antenna, and he also has the one with the helmet with some sort of really small visor, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Really small visor.
That's the thing I noticed first was the small yellow visor above his eyepiece.
And then Wooly had a kind of small, we'll call it like an infrared ocularis, like hanging off the side of his helmet. Almost almost like Martuk did in the last episode last week.
Yes. Yeah.
Except for Woolies doesn't rotate back and forth. So that's how I could tell the difference between Boyle and Waxer. And then they take their helmets off like 6 times when it's just them and they're quote unquote in a safe area. They'll pop their helmets off and talk to each other. And maybe that was the director realizing like, hey, this is a little bit tough to like tell who's talking to who here.
Yeah.
Because they got like both hands on blaster all the time, so they can't have, wild gesticulation while they're talking.
And at least like when they did take off helmets, they could not have been more different. Like I'm gonna forget which one's which. I think Waxer is the one that's bald.
Waxer is bald, and Boyle is the one with the more typical.
He has like the
clone
army
haircut,
crew cut,
right?
Yeah.
But he's
army
got
crew cut and a beard too. Correct?
Yeah, he had like a goatee with like a 2-day no shave.
Yeah,
on his jawline.
So once the helmets came off, that made things a lot easier.
But
basically, as soon as they would start going on the move again, those helmets came right back on, and I couldn't tell who was talking at any point.
Yeah, it was pretty tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll find out later if either of us, I think, believe that detracts from the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So,
but in any case, Wax or Boyle find the Twilight girl Numa. She's by herself.
She is by herself.
She appears to be like, what would you say, like between like 4 and 6-ish?
She is 5 years old.
Oh shit! Yep.
There you go. Yep. That is Wikipedia confirmed. She is 5 years old.
There you go.
So,
again, never confirmed by the episode whatsoever.
Side note, she appears in 2 episodes of Star Wars Rebels as a grown Twi'lek person.
We'll have to keep an eye out for that when we get to that point.
Yes, because my first instinct, seeing a not quite green but not quite blue small Twi'lek girl, was that it was Hera, even though she's not the same color of Hera as Hera at all.
Yeah.
Because she's definitely more like aquamarine and not like light green. But I was like, maybe like later, like one of those things where Dave Filoni later is like, the captain of the Ghost is gonna be this green skinned Twi'lek, and remember that young girl in that one episode, like it'll be the same person. It's good.
We should do something there. Yeah.
But I was wrong.
Which, speaking of Ghost, did we bring up at all that this is the Commander Cody's the commander of the Ghost Company?
No, and I was actually going to ask you about that because I like briefly heard it. He says something about Ghost Squad, or I don't remember. He says something when they're in like in the bald forest.
Yes, So it's briefly mentioned. It's
like one time and one time only, right?
I think they briefly mention again later that it's Ghost Company. Like, I think it's like a weird throwaway line where like Mace is like, well, get Ghost Company, or Obi-Wan or something, get Ghost Company on it. So
yeah, that's interesting because when you look up all these guys individually to like get any type of background information on them, it doesn't say anything about Ghost Company, but it does talk about the 212th Attack Battalion. So officially they are part of the 212.
Interesting. Is there any significance behind the number 212, or is it just...
Not that I've seen.
All right.
It just says the 212th Attack Battalion was a military division of the Grand Army of the Republic, a clone army engineered to serve the Galactic Republic, led by General Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Anakin's got the 501st, and Obi-Wan's got the 212th, so I'm not going to read this entire article currently.
Yeah. So what do we got coming up next here? What happens? So they find Numa.
They find
who's
Numa.
Afraid of them.
Most of what they're doing from here until about 5 minutes left in the episode is following Numa around and
Yeah.
And whatnot. But at one point, we do have a recon droid that comes up and spies down on Cody and Wooly. So Boyle and Waxer find Numa. Cody and Wooly find this whole human shield / Twi'lek shield situation.
Yes.
The recon droid sees Cody and Wooly making their discovery, so the recon droid is like reporting back to TX-20 as Cody and Wooly are reporting back to Obi-Wan and Mace.
Yep.
So we got like a dual reveal at the same time.
It's not even like reporting back. That droid is just giving a live feed view.
Yeah, it's just a drone, essentially, is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's a cooler drone because it like
camera.
Flies up on this rooftop and then lands, and then it's like scurrying around like a spider, which I thought was super awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, and I just like the idea, and I don't know why. Have we seen like a live feed like this before? I don't recall.
Yeah, if you go back, not necessarily from a drone or a droid, but if you go back to Lair of Grievous, back when friend of the show Kevin Warren was on with us. The whole time, like, General Grievous was watching what...
Oh, that's right.
What Kit Fisto and his ex-Padawan, whose name I can't remember right now, the Mon Calamarian. So he's watching, like, the entire time. But that's also, like, the Lair of Grievous, and he's got all of his security cameras and shit.
Set up. Yeah.
So, other than that, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything.
Yeah.
But
nobody sends like a drone into the battlefield to like just get a full bird's eye view of what the enemy is doing.
I hesitate to say yes or no.
I think at most we've seen like during major battles, like space battles, you know, they got those like big boards with like the live view of where all the ships are.
Yeah, they definitely have that. So I don't know how that's too much different than what we're seeing now, other than this is like a reconnaissance droid and not a
not just like a hologram of everything.
Yeah.
Like by radar, maybe? Space radar? I don't know.
Spader?
Yeah. Like,
we're approaching Avengers 2, Age of Ultron right now.
Oh, boy. All right, so what do we got? So TX-20 has some other thing up his sleeve as soon as he finds out what...
Yeah, TX-20 finds out that it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he was like, he's known for his deceptive maneuvers, which my question was, I thought that he was known for being a negotiator, not his deceptive maneuvers, so we got some false intel here, Mr. TX-20, but we do get a funny response from a battle droid, and he's like, Roger, download his file.
Yeah.
So there's a dossier on Obi-Wan.
Yep.
At this point, we meet the creatures of the episode, which is, I think, what TX-20 calls them. The creatures.
Creatures, yeah. They get named. Again, later they get named, but at first TX only calls them the creatures.
Yeah, they get named by Numa.
By
right?
Numa.
And they're Gutkur. Gutkurr. To me, they look like giant fleas.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Giant fleas. They're kind of big. They got like red eyes and everything too. They seem sort of hard shelled.
Yep.
Of some sort.
Eye color red, skin color brown, distinctions, thin arms, large hooked claws, spiked carapace.
Yes.
Their homeworld is Ryloth, and they inhabit the Ryloth's equatorial forest.
Okay.
Which I guess is what we saw the clones running through. So that's about all the information we have on that. TX-20 did have the idea to starve these Gutkur for like a week, and that was going to make them extra pissed off, I guess.
like just ready to attack sort of thing.
Ready to attack.
Yeah. And then he sees that the Republic troops are definitely headed towards them, so he decides to just go ahead and release them. Yeah?
Yeah. I think at one point he's like, oh, it's the retcon droid like flies over to where Obi-Wan is, and since Boyle and Waxer didn't come back, they're like, oh, that's not like them. So we need to full speed ahead with the attack. And
right. Yes.
TX-20 overhears that, and he was like, oh, they're going to attack us. Like, release the creatures.
Send the gut curs out, yeah.
Send out the gut curs. So, all of the, like, geographically, this is all super confusing because it looks like maybe it's only 2 or 3 different, like, roads and intersections, and the buildings are just tall enough that you can't really, like, foresee what's coming to you.
Yeah.
It's like a hedge maze that's like 6 foot tall, and they're close enough together that you can only concentrate on like what's directly in front of you and not like what's around the corner or anything. So it's hard to tell where things are moving or really even like how far apart this stuff is. Because when the gut cur come in, I keep wanting to call these things Narglatch, which the Narglatch is like the cat lizard things on the ice planet that wasn't Hoth on the episode Trespass.
I don't know why you're confusing that one.
Because they're both weird names, like Narglatch
and
Gut Cur.
Gut Curs.
Gut Curs. Yeah. The Gut Curs are released, and what happens is that Boyle, Waxer, Numa get cornered in Numa's house. I guess she went back there to find her little doll. It's a Tuca doll.
Yeah.
Which is also like a squeaky toy, which I'm like, okay, they call them like tailheads, and then they give the little sweet girl a squeaky toy, like a fucking dog toy. Which,
well, did she go back just for the doll, or was she hoping her family was there?
I think that maybe, I don't think either of those. Honestly, I think that she heads back there to, because she knows that they're being followed by this recon droid. Mm-hmm. So I think she goes there to hide, and she's like showing these 2 clones that they can hide there with her too. I think she's trying to be helpful.
Yeah. But then it's at this moment that Waxer and Boyle seem to have some sort of flash of empathy, right?
Yeah.
When they're like, cool, because like the whole time too, we haven't really talked about Boyle's kind of being an asshole, and he's like, well, what are we supposed to do with a kid? Like, just leave her. Like, we have our own mission.
Yeah, at one point she like runs off, and then Waxer goes off to find her, and he's like, oh, glad you found her. I have binders, you know. Waxer like looks at him like, you're a fucking douche.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the whole point is they're there to like help liberate these people, but Boyle doesn't want to take care of like a clear child refugee of this shitty situation.
He's taking a weird like strict soldier approach where, and well, I guess not even soldier approach, but he's like, no, we can't pick her up because that's not what we were told to do, therefore it's against the rules, we'll get in trouble.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
And they come up with some weird convoluted plan because before the gut cur are released, Cody tries to calm them, and they're like, oh shit, that's the boss, like, let's tell him that we did this thing, and we were
like, our comms are blocked.
Yeah, our comms were blocked by the droids. Like, instead of, hey, we found this little girl, we're here to liberate the people of Ryloth. We found one of them, and we're trying to save the girl.
Yeah, I don't understand why saying that would have been any issue. Like, that was confusing to me too.
Yeah, it's because it doesn't make any sense. But
no,
when they do get attacked by the gut cur, it's Numa that saves the day, because in nice cartoon world habitats as happens. There's an escape hatch down into the sewer, wherever you're at.
Trap door that she just like lifts up. Because a 5-year-old girl can do that. That's fine.
It's not even hidden. It's just like a hatch.
Yeah, it's just there,
sticking out of the floor.
Yeah,
so
like anybody could trip over it.
They do that, and then Obi-Wan and crew have to fight these gut curs. And all they do essentially is they run in guns blazing, and then Obi-Wan's like, "Whoa, wait, chill." Does some cool flippy flips, slashes at some stuff with his lightsaber, and then he just does his Obi-Wan Kenobi like 3-finger point at them, like peace sign with your thumb out also, and then mind tricks them into walking down an alleyway essentially.
Yeah,
and
he lures them over. Yeah,
tells Cody to blow the bridge, and then Cody just repeats Obi-Wan like blow the bridge, and then points at the only bridge that's there in the area.
Yeah, it's like a bridge that's at the front of the alley. Obi-Wan heads to the end of a dead end alley. All the gut curs are in there, and then Commander Cody and Ghost Company all like just pull out their blasters and start shooting, which I don't know why then the gut curs don't automatically freak the fuck out.
I don't either, and I also don't know why they don't just like jump over this debris barricade.
Yeah,
because
the bridge doesn't look thick.
It does not.
It looks like one little slab of cement with a slight arch at the bottom.
Yeah, well, I think we see it when Obi-Wan Kenobi is straight up Crocodile Dundeeing his way out of there.
Yeah,
where he's just like walking on top of their heads and backs and stuff. And it's like as tall as they are. But I swore that we had seen these things with some sort of agility. I mean, when they attack Boyle, Waxer, and Numa, they're like crawling in from a hole in the roof.
Yeah, so I got nothing for you there because
I don't either. I
didn't understand that point.
Clone Wars convenience.
Yes, absolutely
is what it is, but it works. Did you catch
this moment? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you catch the next little detail as the gut curs are trapped? The clones don't need to be shooting at anything anymore, so they regroup and they kind of like take a deep breath and they exit stage left. Did you see what happens in this moment?
No.
Cody gives Obi-Wan his lightsaber back.
Ew.
Which I thought was a good touch, right? Because we all know that Cody gives Obi-Wan his lightsaber in Revenge of the Sith, and then is called upon for Order 66, and he's like, fuck, why'd I do that? It's going to make it way harder, you know?
Yeah.
But, so then I was like, okay, when did Obi-Wan lose his lightsaber? In this episode. So we know when it happens in Revenge of the Sith, but in this episode, we got these gut curs that come in, so we're going to rewind, 45 seconds. These gut curs come in. Obi-Wan does an awesome, like, back flippy flip, lightsaber slash, defending himself, lands. You can see he's got his lightsaber in his right hand. Then he looks around, and that's when he does the 3-finger Obi-Wan point. And then it cuts to, like, a wide angle, and he just doesn't have his lightsaber on him. It's not knocked out of his hand. I guess he just, like, drops it so that he can more focus on the Force, maybe.
But it's just there. It's not.
It's almost like they came up with the end where they're like, oh, we should have Cody give Obi-Wan his lightsaber back, and then somebody was like, wait, when did he lose his lightsaber? So they just erased it from his hand in like the previous shot. Like, there you go. He doesn't have it.
He doesn't have it.
There you go.
It's just a nonsensical point in this episode. Like,
yeah, I do like that. I don't know. There's
like,
a couple things in this episode where it's like, ooh, I like this. Where's the setup for it? And there's no setup.
Why?
There's just like a payoff.
Yeah, no, you can't just work with just payoffs, though, right? Like,
it's very true.
In storytelling, there things have to be earned, right?
Yes.
You can't just like set it up like that and be like, look, see, it's a callback to all of this because I don't know.
Is that your battle droid impression? Because it's pretty good.
Maybe. I didn't think of it as one, but but anyways, so basically right at this moment too, Waxer and Boyle rejoin the company, right? With
they climb up out of the sewer.
Yep.
I saw this as another funny moment because you see the sewer lid moving and you get the normal sewer lid grating noise.
Yeah.
And the clones are like ready to just shoot the shit out of the sewer lid.
Yeah.
Or whatever comes out. And Obi-Wan's like, hey, chill out. I don't think Obi-Wan needed the Force for this. I think he was essentially saying, like, look, idiots, the droids don't come through the fucking sewer.
No.
This is an Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade moment where Henry Jones smashes Indy over the head with a vase.
Yep.
And he's like, no, Dad, the Nazis come through the door. Like, the droids don't come through the sewer. They just walk down the street.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that at least is a good touch. So Waxer and Boyle pop on out. They don't get shot, thankfully.
They do not get shot, and neither does Numa. You don't see Numa come up out of the sewer. She's just hiding behind Waxer's leg.
Yeah. So they kind of stand at attention, and Cody is like, "What the hell happened? Why didn't you guys respond? Where the fuck were you guys?" And then they're like, "We got sidetracked."
And this is a way better explanation than whatever bullshit they came up with earlier with all the nonsense.
For them getting to this point and only being like, hey, we got sidetracked, I don't know why they wrote in them freaking out about giving Commander Cody an excuse to begin with.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know why. It doesn't seem like in Waxer's character especially where he's like really compassionate and trying to help Numa. Mm-hmm. I don't get why then he would be like, yeah, shit, what do we tell Commander Cody? What do we do?
Maybe it would have been better if Boyle started to answer and he was like, oh, there was these battle droids and our comms got and Waxer was like, no, and just like, here's Numa, you know.
Yeah, like here it is, and then so essentially what does happen is like they say we got sidetracked. Numa like pops out from behind Waxer's leg, and Obi-Wan's like, I see what sidetracked you, and then he's like all for it. He's like, great, you helped a little girl. Like, hey, you're not gonna get in trouble for that.
You did your job.
Yeah, like,
hey, all these other yahoos would do their jobs.
Yeah, you saved a girl. Like, why did you think you were gonna get in trouble for that? So, that I found interesting.
Yep.
And then Waxer and Boyle are like, hey, by the way, she knows where the sewers go. We could use the sewers. And Obi-Wan's like, oh, great, because that is going to come in handy.
Right. Now I finally have a plan instead of just wandering down the street, like hopping out, shooting blasters.
Yeah, exactly.
So the plan is for Obi-Wan and his crew to head through the sewers and sneak in behind enemy lines, essentially, to free all of the incarcerated non-slaves.
Yes.
And he puts Cody on diversion. That's what he calls it. Like, hey, you're on diversion, right? At this point, we
should also bring up really quickly that they figure out the sewer system because Obi-Wan has the ability to speak Twi'leki.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we should bring that up because Numa starts saying some shit, and they're like, the clones are just standing around like, yeah, she's been calling them Nera nonstop.
Nera.
Yeah.
I want to roll
and then
that
Obi-Wan,
R so bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, Obi-Wan, like, gets on one knee and, like, leans in and just starts speaking with her, like, full Twi'leki.
Is it Twi'leki with an
stutter.
I at the end?
Yes.
Okay.
That
Cool.
is my belief of what their language is called. So the Twi'leks do speak Twi'leki.
How do you feel about this?
About what?
Twi'leki.
It's fine. Yeah.
Why do all of the other Twi'leks speak English? Sorry. Why do all of the other Twi'leks speak Basic? Now, albeit a lot of them have like a French accent, Nira does not, and neither does Twi'leki.
Oh, you mean like of the language existing to begin with?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fine. It's like how Canada has 2 official languages, you know?
And one of them sounds like French. And
One
this
of
does
them
not.
happens to be French, yes, and the other is English, you know. It's fine. You know, some very overzealous parent just wants to make sure that the language gets passed on to this little girl, and because, you know, like, language holds culture, and speaking Twi'leki was important to this girl, I guess.
I can understand that. Why do we have like a mismatched, like Twi'leki just sounds like Basic with syllables strewn together that don't make sense to like the regular ear. Like there's no different inflection, there's no different enunciation, there's no different accent, anything like that. But when we've seen the Twi'leks in the past on Ryloth, like they have that vague French accent. Like Isla Sakura's got it. Cham Syndulla had it. Hera does not.
No. Hera definitely just speaks with a basic accent, I guess.
Right.
Whereas
just like a galactic basic.
Yeah. Whereas the I mean, in non-movie universe, like the English accent is still kind of your elevated basic, correct?
Correct.
Right. So like American accent, basic. English accent,
High galactic.
advanced. Yeah, high galactic, advanced galactic, whatever. So, I don't know. It could just still be something in like the lettering or phrasing that like when you switch over, it just still is an issue, or it's like just their accent, right?
Okay.
Like the difference between Scottish people and Irish people and Welsh people and like Londoners, right?
Liverpudlians.
Yeah, Liverpool's, you know, yeah, Cardiff, right? Like,
Okay, next.
everybody's got these regional, like accents,
Right.
That you kind of have to decipher, or you know exactly what like town certain people are from on the small island of Great Britain or the area, right?
Right.
So maybe it's something like that. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's fine. Like it doesn't bother me as much as like the Toydarians having like 5 accents among themselves. Right?
Yeah, we decided that was an attempt to get away from
Weird
from
Jew.
Watto's
Yeah.
accent.
Yeah, like yeah. This show is basically atoning for a lot of random wrongs.
Do you think
Or,
do you think that's necessary?
For some of it.
Or do you think it's like overthought?
No, I mean, if you're going to establish that Watto's, like, if Watto is like the Toydarian that we meet as like our first Toydarian, and he has that accent, and then, shit, again, we forgot his name last week.
Newt Gunray.
Newt Gunray
Snap.
has that like awful fucking Asian accent too, you know? It's Newt with that accent, right?
It is.
And then like it disappears by Attack of the Clones, right?
Yeah. So, question: does this make me dumb or naive or just oblivious to such things, because watching The Phantom Menace back in the late 90s, early 2000s, like, I just thought it was like Newt Gunray's accent. Like, I don't know. Like, it was just the way that Newt Gunray sounded. Like, I didn't attribute that to anything culturally or racially in the Earth world.
Yeah, it's I don't know what that says about you. It's definitely there, because it's between Newt Gunray and, I haven't watched Phantom in a while, but he like speaks to somebody, and there's like another like lady Nemoidian who like responds to him that has like an even thicker accent. And
is that are you talking Attack of the Clones?
It might be Attack of the Clones. I don't know. We'll have to do a
I don't remember which one it is.
Revisit. Like we'll have to review the movies at some point.
For sure.
And then we'll bring this all up.
So, but it's like the lady Nemoidian has the like metal things that Martuk wore.
Yes.
The metal eyeglass things. And I'm pretty sure that she is voiced by one of George Lucas's daughters.
Okay. Well, because the one I'm thinking of has those eye things, but then the other unfortunate thing is that her eye things were also just slits.
Mm-hmm.
They gave her like eye slits, which looked like complete old style, like
I
Breakfast at Tiffany's shit,
here.
Right? Like, it was the whole package all together. It wasn't just the accent. It was the fact that they gave her like these eye slits. And Newt sort of had them too, which was also troublesome, right?
Yeah, so in the novelization, I know we're way off topic right now, but I think it's all right. In the novelization, the Nemoidian eye is described as having like multiple nictitating eyelids. So I think that's supposed to be what is depicted there. But when you see it on screen, like when I first saw it, because it looked to me as more of like a digital eye, not like, oh, that's a digital effect, but as like ocular implants, because the line that goes across the eye is not in like a geometric wave, but it's in like a binary wave, or it's like it's got right angles to it, which is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
I know that doesn't mean anything. But that was my perception back in the day.
Nope.
And had I seen like eye slits or something, my brain would have just gone, oh, whoever's in the suit would need like a slit so they can see.
Yeah. No, all I saw was definitely some racist bullshit. That one I definitely saw, even as a 12-year-old. I was just like, there's something off about all of this that doesn't sit with me quite right. Like it really, I mean, it's not as explicit as Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Right.
But it's still one of those like disappointing oversights. Right. And it's not as explicit as, say, anything that shows up in pretty much every single Michael Bay Transformer movie. Right, where there's blatant racism that's layered as some weird, like, quote unquote coding of like, well, if we give these characters buck teeth and gold chains, then people will understand these robots are supposed to be like dumb black people, I guess, is what they're trying to get across. I don't fucking know. It was just more racist bullshit that I did not understand. So sometimes it's like this weird attempt at coding that just fucking falls flat. But in in Phantom Menace, it definitely just feels like cultural homage that went wrong. Right?
Yeah, I mean, people have said it like a million times, but George Lucas didn't have anybody telling him to pump the brakes a little bit.
Oh yeah, clearly, yeah. Because there's other instances where in Attack of the Clones when we visit the new queen that's not Amidala.
Jamila.
Yeah. The name clearly was very important for me to keep that one in my head.
Queen Jamila.
And that's not the same queen that appears in Revenge of the Sith, correct?
No, because
that one is
oh wait,
Keisha Castle Hughes makes her cameo in Revenge of the Sith there.
Okay, so that'll be I don't
For the
know
one
that
shot.
queen, and I don't remember the name of the queen in the Clone Wars either.
Yeah. So either way, so like with all the queens of Naboo, they're very ornately dressed, and they have like the silk gowns and stuff that are clearly like Japanese inspired, like white kabuki makeup and stuff. That one sits with me fine, if only because like it's definitely inspired by a look. It's not stealing a look. It's not like they change it enough to put their own flair on it, you know?
Yeah,
But
and
then-
I think part of it also, or one thing that might help also, is when we talked several episodes ago about the layers of cultural reference.
Yeah.
Where if you've got one, maybe two layers of cultural reference for whatever vantage point that you're trying to portray, that can be done in an acceptable way. But when you take, like, okay, this planet has these people that sound like this and look like this and have these attributes, and the background music is this also,
Yeah.
it's several steps too far when you just throw the whole fucking hog in there
Exactly.
instead of using your creative brain and saying, these are the things I like about this, these are the things I like about this, let's work with this and come up with an amalgamation of a design of what I'm looking for, and not just go using this stereotype, boom, done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a guy in a mask. He doesn't look like that, but he's gonna sound like it and have the whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this before.
Oh yeah. How do we get on this? Where did we start from?
We were talking about Twi'leki and Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Obi-Wan is able to speak Twi'leki, which brings me to my next question.
Go for it.
Does Obi-Wan have a gift for language? Is he using the Force, or is it something else?
No, I don't think the Force works in that way.
You don't think so?
Yeah. I don't think so. No. The Force can help you like see the future maybe, or influence things, but I don't think it'll give you the gift of language.
You don't think you can use the Force to augment your understanding and education about a specific subject?
No. I've never seen the Force as being able to do that. What other examples might you have to
I don't know
give
that I
evidence
have
to
I
this?
don't know that I have any.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't like, because that
I
would
know-
be like, do you think, well, like, how about this? Like, do you think Obi-Wan would be able to read Anakin's mind to know that he's married to Padme?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah. I think he could. I don't know that he would. I think that I think the potential is there for that ability to exist. I think that would Obi-Wan have said ability, he would not do that to his friend out of respect. He's not going to be diving into his mind. He knows there's something going on between them. In Attack of the Clones, Padme falls out of the lat, and Anakin's like, turn the ship around! And Obi-Wan's like, no, don't let your feelings get in the way. We have a job to do. What would she do if she were in your position?
Yeah.
He knows there's something going on.
I mean, now that I think about it, I guess in giving you evidence, I guess the new trilogy, the Disney stuff, I guess that's exactly what Ben is trying to do with Rey. Right?
Maybe.
When he's got her, like, on the table. And then, like...
he's trying to straight up read her mind.
I guess.
He's digging around. She's like, get out of my head.
That is true. Damn it. Yeah.
So here's another...
I don't know why I never connected it that... I mean...
Here's another...
that's explicit, but everything before an old trilogy and prequel trilogy, I've never...
Here's a tidbit of evidence from prequel trilogy before we get back to the Innocence of Ryloth. And this is not the best bit of evidence because it does pull from the novelization also. But in Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan is like, he takes Boga, the whatever the lizard parrot thing is, on Utapau, right?
Yeah.
It says specifically that Obi-Wan is able to use the Force to, like, increase his ability to be able to communicate with animals.
Okay.
And he's not communicating with them directly, but he's using the Force to, like, give feelings of goodwill. Like, if you help me do this, I will help make you be a little happy. Like, that type of thing. So
that... Even in the non-canon novelization, like, that still makes sense to me. That doesn't bother me. It's kind of like the same with Obi-Wan kind of luring, like, mind tricking and stuff. Like, that makes sense to me, right? Now, and then even reading minds, because I guess, like, thinking about it more, like, a good example would be like when Darth can feel that Luke is thinking about Leia, right? So Darth is like, I know about your sister, and you know about your sister.
I like how you just call him Darth.
Darth, yeah.
That's
Darth.
Sweet.
But that's a bigger leap from being able to read somebody's mind, extract information in the same language, versus, like, reading somebody's mind and then trying to be able to decipher, like, noun, subject, verb.
No, that's definitely not what I meant. But what I was wondering is if Obi-Wan uses the Force to help him understand different languages, like draws on the Force as a learning tool to be more adept at other languages. Because there's only two characters that I can think of that know almost every language in whatever situation they walk into.
Yeah.
One of them is Obi-Wan, and the other one is Han Solo. Han Solo speaks fucking droid, for God's sakes.
Yeah, he does.
And I know that later, like, we see other people, that are better at doing that also, or good at doing that also. But I feel like Han's one of the first. And I'm not just talking about him being able to communicate with C-3PO.
Yeah. Because he talks Shuriwook, which is very difficult for humans to understand. Rey being the only other one that we really fully get confirmed being able to at least understand.
Right.
She also is able to speak droid.
Correct.
But then I think both of those... So, like, Han not being a Force user, that's definitely just him making his way around the universe.
Right.
I think the same applies to Rey because she doesn't understand that she has the Force either, right?
Right.
And then I feel like Obi-Wan's just kind of in the same situation. I feel like it's just in his personality to be that nerd.
I think that there was something in the young adult series that was like Jedi Apprentice. I think that was when, if I'm remembering correctly, which I may not be, but there was a series of like 21 books the little ones that are like this big, 89, 97 pages, whatever.
Uh-huh.
The youth readers, not for kids, but not for like, because even
the
like
young adult category.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's young adult, because even like all the EU stuff, that all gets shelved in young adult.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so
anyways, I think it was the Jedi Apprentice, and it followed Obi-Wan as the apprentice of Qui-Gon, and I think somewhere in there, Qui-Gon may have said something to Obi-Wan about the importance of being able to learn languages on the fly, so that you can like use what you know from previous languages and be able to use context clues and other things. Because so when Obi-Wan meets the forgive me that I don't remember, the white snow people.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah. I was hoping you could bail me out of that one.
No,
but
I got nothing for you on that one. But anyways, but that still kind of gives me evidence that Qui-Gon is just, I mean, again, so that's Legends, I'm assuming, right?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, so it's all Legends. But if we were still to take that at some face value, you know, that's still only more evidence that, like, Obi-Wan took that as, like, a challenge to just uber nerd it up and kind of take a hand in various languages of the universe, right?
Yeah, do you think that Obi-Wan had a podcast on languages? Or
I mean, I think
force techniques or anything?
Again, I think he just studied up, right?
Yeah.
He was in those Jedi archives and he just checked out all the various books.
Like all of them?
Yeah. Or like there's probably like a few like whatever, there might be like 1,000 Latins that lead to like thousands of other languages branched under each of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he just studies like the base ones of each, like each grouping. So, but no, I think that's just Obi-Wan.
He's just an uber nerd. It has nothing to do with his force abilities.
No. The fact that you brought up that Han could do it, you know, and Han has no force help. So I think it's just Obi-Wan taking it upon himself to want to advance himself in that way.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll buy that.
Because again, we have no real evidence otherwise. You know.
You're an evidence-based kind of guy.
Yep. And Legends we got to throw out. That's
I know, it makes me sad.
That's inadmissible evidence there, so.
You know what we don't have to throw out?
What?
These droids that we come across in the next scene.
Yeah, what scene are we on now? I'm so lost at where we are. So
we're
they're crawling around. Obi-Wan and them.
Obi-Wan went through the sewers, and he has come across the droid jail.
Yep.
Is what I'll call it, which is interesting. I guess this is where all of the gut cur were, like in these jail cells.
Yeah.
So there's a droid like scrubbing the floor. And at first I thought like, oh, this is going to be like a cool passing detail, but it's not. It's like a full blown, like, this droid needs to be scrubbing the floor for a joke, right? And I guess Obi-Wan like slices down all the droids in the hallway or something, because as we see this droid with a sponge like on his hands and knees, he's like, I got the worst job in the droid army. And then he looks up and sees Obi-Wan. He's like, and it just went into overtime.
Yeah.
But instead of dying, Obi-Wan just locked him in, and that was it.
That's it.
So he's probably good. Obi-Wan sneaks up the stairs. At this point, like, Boyle and Waxer look at Numa, and they do the like shh, like finger to the lips shh thing, and then she looks back at them and like does the same thing and smiles at them.
Yeah.
I thought that was
still there.
I thought it was cute. Why is she there? Because she's the one that showed them through the sewers, Lorenzo.
Yeah, but then why is she, like, not staying behind? Why is she still, like...
That is her staying behind. They wiped out everybody that was in there.
I guess.
So the safest place for her to be is at the bottom of the stairs.
I guess. Like, it's weird that they let her out of the sewer, right? Like...
I think that the sewer system just opens into the jail system.
Like, it's just, they're basically on the sewer level.
Yeah, it's like in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where the sewer is the subway. Like, it's the same tubes and everything.
I guess that makes sense.
I mean, it makes just as much sense in this as it did in that.
Yeah, I guess so.
So Obi-Wan runs up the stairs and sees all the hostages, right? And at this point, it is Cody's turn to execute his distraction.
Yep.
Which is just running out, guns a-blazing.
Yep. Like, just shooting at any direction of things shooting at them.
I think Obi-Wan was happy that they had this whole sewer system that they could go through so that he could avoid just, like, running in guns blazing, and that is Cody's plan. Like,
yeah.
Oh, my plan? We'll just run around the corner and fucking shoot every which direction.
Obi-Wan did kind of just tell him that he was just on distraction point, basically. So
that is true.
It works. So Obi-Wan's freeing the prisoners.
Yes, and he says something that sounds very similar to "Watch O'Neill, watch O'Neill." I guess that is Twi'lek for "Come this way, I'm freeing you, prisoners. You're
get on out of here.
We're gonna go. Let's go. Yeah. I found Numa."
Yeah, so they start running down the stairs, and then Numa sees a face that seems familiar to her.
Yes.
Again, unnamed, and we don't really get the relationship, but it is supposedly her uncle.
It's Uncle Nilum Brill.
Yeah.
Voiced by... who did the voice of Nilum Brill? Corey Burton. Corey Burton does Nilum Brill, TX-20, and Count Dooku. And several other characters, but there you go.
Yeah, so then that happens, and then a battle droid reports that they're being rescued, and TX is like, what? What are you talking about? Because the droid is like, hey, the Twi'leks are escaping.
Hey, Obi-Wan is letting them out through the sewer system that I said we should close the door to.
Yeah, so then TX turns his shit around. He's like in one of those like tank thingies, right?
Yeah, that's an MT something or other.
Yeah. So then he starts shooting at them, and then Obi-Wan's like, he's gonna go handle this situation. So he comes back out and jumps into a proton cannon. Like he just starts mowing down droids, lifts the droid out, and then like throws it backwards, which leaves it incapacitated. And then he's like, Waxer, Boyle, come with me. They're like, yeah, sure.
Waxer and Boyle get... Oh, that's later, right? When they get knocked down. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what happens is Waxer and Boyle are lifting up like the proton canisters.
Yeah, I thought it was odd that they didn't have like some automatic loading system where...
Yeah, it was really weird.
You know, like a missile clip.
Yeah. But instead they have like these giant canisters that look like massive like oxygen tanks.
Mm-hmm.
They look like the same tanks that the Scream in Monsters Inc. gets transported into. Those yellow tanks that holding the Scream energy.
And they look very similar to the defoliator.
Yes, they do. Yeah, basically, I guess all the proton canisters or any canisters of any type, there must be some mass manufacturer that they just make everything fit into that sucker.
I guess so, but I hope that these things are well labeled. They don't get mixed up, so you don't shoot like the confetti bomb when you mean to shoot the silly string bomb.
Yes, basically. Yeah,
that would just be embarrassing.
Yeah, luckily these are proton cannons, so Obi-Wan starts just like taking out the force of droids with these protons.
Yeah, my note was steel cannon, shoot cannons, touchscreen / app targeting system. Did you notice the targeting system on this?
Yeah, he was just like tapping buttons.
It's basically like a touchscreen, and you just like tap where you want to shoot. So it was like there was like an icon of like another cannon, so he like tapped on that, and then he just like drug this red X into the middle of it, and then just let go, and
then
it
automatically figured
cannon
out. Yeah, which I found really weird. Have we seen targeting system like this before?
I don't know that we've seen many targeting systems in general.
Yeah, but I feel like any other time we've seen anything, they've had to generally like turn a turret towards whatever they want to shoot.
Yes. Like,
right?
Could you imagine how anticlimactic this would have been in A New Hope if Luke climbs down the ladder and he's like,
button.
Han, I did it! I drug the X to the other X! Like, yay!
Yeah, he's just like tapping a screen. He's like, did it. Fantastic. Let's go
like
home.
Flappy Bird.
Basically, yeah. God rest Flappy Bird.
Okay, so it's like Splashy Fish.
Yeah. Never forget. Anyways.
So we're whittled down to essentially just Obi-Wan in his canon. But then TX-20 comes up with a vengeance with his droid tank, and is ready to shoot him down.
Yep.
Boyle and Wax are knocked to the ground, and Numa comes running out to them.
Yeah.
So she was undercover, like she was good, and then she's watching all the shit go down.
Runs right out there.
Runs straight out there, and then the next thing I saw was like Obi-Wan was on the ground, and she was like under his armpit, like picking him up. Like,
yeah, she was helping him up, which is weird because she's about the height of his like knee, essentially.
Yeah, she's about Yoda height.
Yeah.
So she does seem to kind of get taller and shorter.
Yeah.
When necessary throughout this episode, but she's a little taller than Yoda height. But it looks like TX-20 is going to take out all the main dudes minus Cody in this episode, and instead we just have like a Twi'lek revolution, and they just come running out of the subway and up onto the tank, and they pull TX-20 out, and his response is does not compute, and they eventually throw him to the ground and literally just rip him limb from limb and rip his head off.
Tear him apart. Yep. To just snap him open.
Visual joke, Obi-Wan covers Numa's eyes, and she just like ducks around it.
Yep.
Pulls his hand away so she can watch what's going on.
She's all about watching somebody get torn to shreds.
Yeah.
Yep. And then afterwards, Mace Windu shows up.
Yeah.
After all the hard work has been done.
He shows up with a fucking army.
Yeah.
He's got ATTEs. He's got like legions of fucking clone troopers. He's got all the shit. He's got all the equipment. But instead he's like, yeah, Obi-Wan, like you go in there with like your 5 dudes, and we'll see how it.
So real quick, I just find it really interesting that the previous episode was Ahsoka having to clear the path so that Obi-Wan could break through the blockade. And then this episode is Obi-Wan having to clear ground droids so that Mace can then bring in his ground troop brigade. Is that an accurate summarization of
it
these
wasn't.
2 episodes?
So Ahsoka and Anakin had to break the blockade so that Obi-Wan and Mace could land on the planet.
Yes.
and then they landed on the planet, and then Obi-Wan had to reclaim this city so they could land on the
landing
city.
Platform. Yes.
But they already landed on the planet. So I don't really follow that.
So either way, there's a lot of clearing that's taking place.
So next episode, because like Anakin did his job, Ahsoka did her job, Obi-Wan did his job, so now we're left with Mace. So what is Mace's job going to be next episode?
So then,
do you want to wrap all this up and then talk about that?
Let's just close it out. Yeah, because Mace and Obi-Wan have a conversation. Mace is like, good job on taking back the city. But now we have to go to the capital and, like, free or something. Like, we will need to take the capital is basically what Mace says.
The capital city of Lesu.
Yeah. So then we cut back to Waxer and Boyle, and they're talking to Numa, and they're saying goodbye, essentially. And they turn around to kind of follow Obi-Wan and Mace, and Numa repeats the line she's been calling them. She's like, Nera, Nera, to Waxer and Boyle. And then they have the bright idea to ask Obi-Wan since they saw him speaking Twi'leki. And they're
I kind of read it as they're like, what the hell does that mean anyway?
Yeah, either way, they're definitely like just, yeah, what the fuck is she saying? And Obi-Wan goes, it means brother.
Which is,
so then,
it's a sweet sentiment, but it doesn't really make any sense.
No. Why would you call these guys your brother, like, right off the bat? But then Waxer and Boyle, like, Boyle especially has a change of heart, and they, like, both turn around and wave to her before turning back around and marching towards the capital, I guess, and then cue loud music.
Yeah, we iris out on the march to the capital. That's my last note.
So
cue loud music.
That's the end of that one.
That's the end of that one. Right. I'm going to jump back about 15 seconds.
Go for it.
When you said that Boyle and Waxer are saying goodbye, they straight up call Numa by name. This is when she is named, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Now, does Uncle Nilum Brill...
The uncle says Numa,
mm-hmm.
but because he's speaking to Twi'leki, it's definitely, it's... You're not going to get it from that, but then these two fellas call her Numa, and then we're like, oh, that is her name.
I like how you call them the two fellows.
The two fellas.
Now, were the two fellas witness to Uncle Brillo?
No, but I'm assuming that there are a few scenes in there where, like, Obi-Wan is still translating back and forth to all of them as they're headed back to meet Mace.
Okay.
Is my assumption there.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting because it's the classic Clone Wars thing. Named. Like, here's these people. Figure out who they are at the end or in the credits.
Yeah, exactly. So we finally just get one quick drop that her name is Numa via the clones. So, anyways, do you want to talk about your thumbs up, thumbs down if you like this episode?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Or do you want to go first?
You can go first.
I give it a thumbs up, man. I like this one. It's fun. It's a fun episode. Like, it's, there's some silly shit, but it's pretty straightforward. I don't know. Here's what we're doing. We're going to save these people. Here's how we do it. We split up. We get back together. We're running, guns blazing. We sneak through the sewers. Numa's character is, I think, well done. I think it's a little corny that she can't communicate with the clone troopers.
Mm-hmm.
That's whatever. That's a complaint that I have about this episode. But overall, I think it's good. This works well as the second part to Storm of Ryloth. The episode title makes more sense.
Yes,
than Storm of Ryloth did. But, we got Obi-Wan on the ground. We got some clone troopers doing clone trooper things. We've got Commander Cody commanding, and aside from a few hiccups along the way where it's like, okay, that sticks out, that detail sticks out. But, I mean, that's what we do is we sit down and we're looking at... We're not just watching these one time and being like, oh, that was... Felt good about that one, felt bad about that one, like the art direction on that one, like the costume design on that one. Like, we're sitting down and we're tearing these things apart. So, obviously, the more we talk about them, the more nonsense we're going to be able to find.
Yeah.
The more Filoni baloney, as I like to call it. But yeah, overall, I give it a thumbs up. Like, I got no issues with it. It's right. Fine.
Yeah.
It's not the best one I've ever seen, but it's good.
Yeah.
It gets me from last week to next week, and I'm cool with that.
That's fine. Yeah. I'm pretty much right there with you on this one, actually.
I thought you were going to disagree with me completely.
This one was, again, if last week I was on the edge and I just tipped down, this one I'm just on the edge, and I agree with you. This one moves enough for me to like it, right? There, like you said, this one has a lot of logical problems for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the introduction of Numa, I think, for the first time that I can really remember in this series, and it's especially since we've kind of been watching things out of release order,
right?
But when trying to think in release order, this is kind of the first time that we do see an actual living casualty of war, I shall say, right? Because a lot of the times with like war movies, we focus on like the deaths and the horrors and the tragedies, and then the rare movie will remind you that like the survivors also have to deal with a lot of fucking shit too, right?
Right.
And this one, in as appropriate as possible for a children's show, addresses some of that. And I appreciate that in the form of Numa, and the fact that, when she gets home, she tears up a little bit, and the clones, Boyle finally gets his head out of his fucking ass, is like, oh shit, like her family's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
There's definitely some emotional resonance within the core of this episode.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that is strong enough that like all this other like nitpicky shit that we do, that's fine. Like that is some annoying shit, but on the whole, this episode, like you said, it's enjoyable. It moves. Even if like a couple of the jokes fell flat for me, they weren't as bad as other like much earlier episodes to like kill me, right? I think this episode moves.
I agree with you there. Where this particular episode definitely seemed like it had more than its share of gags in it.
Yes.
And
especially compared to recently.
Yeah. I will say that overall they landed with me, and I was all right with them. I can't think of any off the top of my head in this episode where I just like rolled my eyes, or I was like, oh god, that's the fucking droid scrubbing the floor gag.
That's the one. That's the one for me that really I didn't care for. That's the one for sure. I think most of the other droid stuff I was actually okay with.
Really?
That's the one. It's only because it went on for too long.
Okay.
That's the only reason. That scene really just needed to move ahead. Like,
at least he wasn't like, it's a living. Oh, yeah. Wait, I don't even get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was just right at the border, and it crossed it only when it kept going, when it went too long, right? It didn't do anything to explicitly cross that border for me, but it crossed it because it just would not move on with its life. So that'd be the only joke that I can think of that really fell flat. But otherwise, like I said, like the rest of the episode, it's like there's some action. It moves forward forward and for the first. To me, I think the other thing too that I should probably bring up is that this is the first episode in doing this podcast with you that I remember the episode from my first watch through.
Oh, that's cool.
Most other episodes, like, there might be some vagueness to them, but really, like, none of those details from any of those episodes. The movie stands out, right? Because the movie already gets, like, in my head put in its own sort of category, right?
Right.
But then Numa, for whatever reason, from my first watch through years ago, Numa's a character that I really remember from my first watch through. And as this episode went on, I was like, oh, shit, I remember this episode, you know? And I don't remember all the details, but Numa was definitely a character that was strong enough for me to remember years later. You know?
That's cool.
So
that's awesome. It's a 5-year-old Twilight little girl.
Right. She stands out, you know.
She stands out.
She stands out.
When I saw her little doll, her Tuca doll, I was like, I definitely remember that. Like, I feel that I remember that more than I should for some reason. But yeah, I remember the story arc, but not necessarily this episode. And this actually bleeds into, like, the last time we were on Ryloth. In my brain and, like, the first watching of this stuff. So, yep, we got that. But another week of us agreeing, which is nice. For the record, you are 18 down, 9 up.
All right.
And I am 8 up and 19. Or no, I am 8 down and 19 up.
So basically opposite, yeah.
Yeah, so up until this week, we were thumbs up to thumbs down. Like, you would be like 7 down and 2 up, and I was like 2 down and 7 up. So we were like inverted.
Yeah.
This is the first time that we're not inverted.
Fully inverted. Interesting.
Yeah. So if we were to end this show today, you would give the show a 33.33%. And I'm sitting... Where would you guess I'm at?
You're at maybe like 67, 68, 70%.
70.37. So
yep.
I'm giving it a C, and you're giving it a big fat F.
Yeah. I think I gave warning that I kind of knew season 1 for the most. I mean, again, we've been skipping around chronologically. But I gave full warning that I recall not enjoying season 1. So
yeah. And speaking of the chronology, I definitely thought that, like, season 1, season 2, and like half of season 3, like, jumped all over the fucking place. It doesn't move around as much as I remember.
It hasn't been that bad, really.
No, there was definitely a lot in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it smoothed out, and we had many, many episodes in a row. The next episode comes right after this one, and then we jump from there. We just skip like one episode and go to season 2. We've got like 3 in a row, and then we jump to the end of season 2, basically. And then we jump back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And run that all the way up until, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I don't remember my opinion of season 2 as strongly as I remember my opinion of season 1 before we went into this. So
that's cool.
I am curious about, as we head into season 2, what, again, because like this episode is one that stuck with me. Moving forward, there are episodes that I definitely remember and stick with me.
Right.
I have no idea the placement of them. Right. So basically, same thing that happened with this episode. As soon as it started, I was like, okay, we're just continuing the story from last time. And as it kept going, I go, oh, shit, I'm remembering some of this, right? So, I mean, I think we've talked about it enough. But, like, just real quick, you know, like, I didn't watch it live on air. I did a full binge watching of it in, like, I think 2014, 2015, something like that. Where I just barreled from movie, season 1, season 2, all the way up to Lost Missions. So, yeah.
Oh, so that would have been after it hit Netflix. Did you watch it on Netflix?
Yep, only watched it on Netflix.
You waited a long time.
Oh yeah. Like to be fair, like just hearing about the movie just turned me off from the whole thing. So.
That's unfortunate, but I get it.
Yeah, look, like because to me it's like with any new show, because there are so many shows out. And there's so many things to watch, and there's so many things to do, and there's so many things to read, and there's so many, you know, there's a life that I'd like to have, right? So, like, when it comes to fall, and there's, like, new TV shows coming out, I give every show that interests me. Like, I understand, like, pilots are going to be weird, because they're setting things up, and, like, maybe they haven't found their footing in terms of tone and all that. So I'll give every show 3 episodes, right? Somebody recommends me a show, and it sounds decently interesting. I'll give it at least 2, but 3 is like my final mark, right?
I gave the Power Rangers series like, I don't know, somewhere around 623 episodes.
Yeah.
And I stopped watching Power Rangers because I started doing this podcast.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Otherwise, I would have another 8 to 12 seasons to go. I don't remember how far in I am. I think I'd have about 8. Somewhere around there. Oh, boy. I'm on Power Rangers Jungle Fury, which is a terrible fucking name.
It's fine.
But it's actually a good season. It's better than some of the previous ones.
Oh, surely, yeah. Yeah, that's a show that goes through ebbs and flows, for sure. No, but what I was saying was, like, by starting with the movie, you kind of have, like, your built-in pilot and 3 episodes right there.
Yeah.
And when you're going to put yourself on that standard, again, like, we've talked about it in that, in diving into the movie, but... Yeah, as soon as I just saw the bad reviews for the that movie, I was just like, no. I got other things to do with my life. So
I've got I got 2 questions to ask you, and then we'll wrap this thing up. And one is we were kind of teasing on Mace Windu about how he's sitting in the background, and we start with like 4 people in front of him, and then 3 people in front of them. Or I guess 3 and then 2 and then 1, and now like all those people have done their job. So, do you think that Mace Windu is going to be the center of attention in Liberty of Ryloth, which is coming up next week?
I would hope so. Yeah.
Okay.
With all this build up,
what type of task do you think he is going to need to do? Because these are definitely task-oriented episodes where it's is the thing we need to do, and this is how we do it.
I'm not going to lie, with the one-liner that he kind of threw out, I'm basically expecting a very similar episode in terms of like having the ground troops and then having to then now make their way from what's this city that they landed in? I've already forgotten.
They're in Nabat City, and they're going to
Lassu. Yeah, so I'm assuming it's just going to be kind of more of the same-ish in terms of, maybe not dealing with a little Twilight girl, but in terms of just like, now we're going to march into town, right? We're going to march from one town into the other town. So that's based on the one-liner. I have not watched Forward yet, so I don't know.
I haven't either.
Yeah. So, yeah.
No, I had another question, didn't write it down, can't remember it. So,
all right. So
that's that. It wasn't directly related to anything we're talking about anyway. So, We'll save our listeners a little bit of time, and let's give some shouts out to anybody worthy.
Yeah, anybody? So we got Kevin at They Call Me K-Dub. He's our illustrator who did the fine artwork that you see thumbnailed on whatever you're listening to this podcast on.
Yep.
Then we also have Lindsay, Strange Fantasy Music at gmail.com. Wait, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
I need to call her and harass her and get her on the show. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've had Kevin on, and then it'd be nice to get her on.
Yeah.
Yep. So she's the one who did the music that you hear at the beginning and end of every episode. Then otherwise, you can reach out to us. Kevin, my friendly co-host here, is in charge of our Twitter at Not the Nerds.
That's me.
Yep. So he's been handling that. And we have at Not the Nerds Podcast on Facebook, which I am in charge of, but I will admit to not have handling that as much as Kevin handles the Twitter.
That's Lorenzo.
Yep. But, still feel free. We did get one comment a few weeks ago, which I, again, did not respond to because I was on vacation.
Damn it, Lorenzo.
I will get in. I will.
What was the comment? We need to get your phone out.
I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he did say that he liked our show and liked the format of it. So,
get your phone out and find out who it is.
We'll look. We'll look. Well, let's see. We'll do a full shout out maybe next week when I'm not clicking around and killing airtime. What's the other thing we got? We have Gmail. You can reach out to us at Gmail at notthenerdspodcast@gmail.com. That's the last place you can reach us there. So, yeah. That's kind of everything we got. So we'll talk to you later, nerds, right? Next week?
Yeah. Next week, Liberty of Ryloth. These aren't the nerds you're looking for.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We'll see you next week.
Nira.
No.